What's up, fellas? First off, I just want to say huge thanks to all of you who have watched my videos, liked and comment on them. I never thought I would get these many views. In just December month I got a little over 500,000 views, which is pretty amazing. So again, I really appreciate all the support. Now I assume you clicked this video because you're having trouble drifting a car properly. Whether it be in real life or in a car simulator, this video will help you. But remember that it always takes time for success. You will need a lot of practice and concentration. This video is just to provide you with the basics of drifting with some tips and tricks that I use. And if you're looking to drift in real life, then starting off with a steering wheel connected to your computer is probably the best way to go, as the almost only thing that is different from real life is the Geforces. So in other words, you should be better in real life than on the computer, because you don't have that sense of gravity and not the same sense of speed as in real life, and also you have that steering wheel input lag to your computer, which may vary around half a second, and that's not very little, so you'll have half a second better reflexes in real life while drifting. So keeping that in mind, now if you have time, I recommend you also watching an hour-long drift tutorial video here on YouTube, which I found, and you should find it by searching "How to Drift Bible," but I'll provide you with the link in the description as well if you can't find it. So now the most important thing is the way you sit inside of the car, and it's the same if you play with your computer or in the real life. You should always be a little bit more closer to the steering wheel. As you see now, my hands are pretty bent. They're not like straight or straightened out. They're pretty bent, so that I use my muscles more easily, and it will become just more easily. But don't sit too close and don't sit too far. Anyway, your back should always be straight, of course. You shouldn't be bent forward or bent backwards too much, or like have a spirally back. It should be completely straight. So sit as far back on the chair as possible, pushing your spine all the way on the seat, and also make sure that your feet are comfortably on the pedal, and that when you downshift you can easily do a RPM match, which is quite hard technique. But so now that you sit comfortably, which is very important, if you're on the computer now, you should change your steering wheel degree ratio to a lot less. What I recommend for beginners should be like 360 degrees or so, because in that way you can leave the steering techniques to later, and the steering techniques is of course crossing your arms, not doing it the safe way, which is like arm to arm or hand to hand technique, whatever it's called. It's hard to show you, but the crossover arm, which you see I will use, is a lot better, but I'm not so sure you will use it if you have this low steering degree ratio. So this is one more advantage you have while learning to drift with the computer. So once you have that low steering degree ratio set, there are many different ways you want to enter a drift. The first and easiest, which I use the most, is by simply using the gravity to get the back end out. So let's say you want to turn right, because the turn goes that way, so you want to turn the opposite direction first and release the gas. So you turn left, then you turn right, and as the car starts going into the curve, you push the gas all the way down, and that way you should get your back end out if you have the proper gear and a lot of power. So you'll need a strong car for this, of course, and I use the BMW M3 with the drift setup here in the Assetto Corsa. So once you get the back end out, that's a different story, and I will get to that, but I will first explain to you the different ways, which is also by using the clutch, but that's nothing that the professionals do, because it will easily wear out the clutch, but it's something you can do on the computer with no worries. If you're having real trouble getting the back end out, and you basically do the same thing as I explained earlier, But this time, instead of just releasing the gas, you put in the clutch, and when you're going to push the gas down to get the back end out, you simply push the gas down and you wait for the RPMs to go up, so you have a lot of power, and then you release the clutch and the back wheels should immediately start spinning. And the third way is of course by using the handbrake. Now using the handbrake is pretty good, but I normally never use it. I only use it when I don't have enough speed in the drift and I'm about to stop drifting because I don't have enough speed and the corner is too long or the turn is too wide. Then I usually pull the handbrake to make the car slide longer. I never use it to enter a drift, only very few times if I don't have enough power or just if the situation requires it. So the handbrake is not to recommend, but most professionals use the handbrake. If you have a pretty old car in real life, I don't recommend using the handbrake, as you can very easily break it, because it's not really made for drifting. It's actually just made for parking your car. So if you want to save your handbrake, not wear it out, I recommend just doing the gravity thing, which I explained at first, by just turning and using the gas. And of course you'll need a rear wheel drive car for this. 4-wheel drive car should work as well, but rear wheel drive is the typical drifting car. So now once you know how to get into the drift, you should start by trying to go into a circle drift. And for this I recommend using the low degree ratio, around 360 degrees. And once you're getting used to that, you should increase it to maybe 640 and then 720 degrees of steering. And finally the more like real life kind of steering in most cars, which is around 900 degrees, 900 to 800 degrees. So as you see here, it's pretty easy. It just takes a lot of practice, and the techniques are basically that once you're into the drift, if your car almost spins around, you should release the gas and begin counter steering in the opposite direction of your car that is traveling. So if your car is traveling to the left and you're about to spin around, you should release the gas. Don't push the brake or anything, just don't touch the pedals and start counter steering. That is probably one of the best things to do if your car starts spinning around and you're about to lose control. And if it's the opposite, that your car isn't spinning around and it starts turning the opposite direction that it was while you're drifting. So if example you're turning to the left and the car starts going to the right, then what you want to do is turn your steering wheel to the left, which is anti-clockwise, and push the gas to make it almost spin around. So you always need to have that balance. So the key things to keep in mind while drifting is using the gas to make it drift more, or releasing the gas to make it like break up and not spin out or spin around the way you're drifting. I hope you understand. It's pretty hard to explain. Again, it just takes a lot of practice. So once you have got the hang of the circle drift and you can kind of do a full circle, once you have done a full circle, you should be able to do a drift, and it should be more easily doing a drift in a corner. The only thing now is that you can't just adapt to the circle, which is very easy, which you can do if you have a lot of space. You can do a very wide circle, or you can do a very narrow circle. Because now all the corners, they look different. So let's see here, for example, we have a wide corner. If you look at my pedals there, I simply use the gravity to get the car into the drift. And once it's inside of the drift, I don't oversteer and I don't like spin it around or anything. I just keep it that way. The way I do this is usually by using a lot of gas and releasing it once I see that it's almost about to spin around. And of course the steering is key to everything here, so you want to keep it like, if you find a good drifting degree, you have to try and keep it that way. Don't go too far and don't go too less. I guess too less is better to start with. You should never like spin around. If you did that, you completely failed and you have to start over. It's better to just drift a little bit instead of spinning around the whole car, which is more risky. And you can increase your steering degree drift all the time, but first start off with a very little degree of drifting, so you're not turning that much while drifting. And if you see that you're going too slow, then basically what you need to do is just push that gas pedal down. And try to drift the whole curve. And if you're going too fast and you're about to hit the grass or the end and crash, then what you want to do is you want to release the gas, keep in the drift, don't try to get out of the drift, and then you just use the brake. Just push the brake all the way down, and you should slow down. And once you see that you're slowing down and you're not about to crash, then you can just push the gas pedal again and keep drifting. So again, all of this takes a lot of practice. This is just to provide you with a lot of help and tips and tricks and that. So the most important, also one really important thing, is looking ahead. You should never look too close. You should always look far beyond where you're driving, so that you have a good sense of awareness or good sense of the environment, and you can see what comes up next. Because in these speeds it's really important that you see like beyond your braking distance. You should always look very far ahead. So again, what you want to do when you drift is you use the gas and your steering. As you see, it's very easy. It just takes a lot of practice. Basically, I can't teach you anything better than saying that it takes a lot of practice. And if you still can't do it and you need a lot of more learning, then again, that video that I provided earlier, the How to Drift Bible, if you search that, you'll find like an hour-long video explaining it very carefully, how you do to drift and the different techniques behind it. So I recommend you watching that as well if you want to, if you're having real trouble drifting. And other than that, thanks a lot for watching, and hope you will enjoy my future videos. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. Take care, guys. Peace out.